The Marvels crash landed into theaters last Friday with the subtlety of a wrecking ball. It was the lowest grossing MCU movie, only making about 47 million domestically in its opening weekend, which is really bad considering the original Captain Marvel made 190 million dollars. And this movie's basically left audiences torn between those clinging to that Marvel magic and others praying desperately for a superhero-sized reboot. Since Avengers Endgame, an epic movie which I always thought was the bubble bursting, but a lot of people do regard as the end of a great era, and really it was. People regarded Marvel as quality movies up until that movie's release and the subsequent content they've just been putting out. The MCU's been pumping out projects faster than my grandma trying to send a text, but the highs and lows have left fans feeling like they're on a roller coaster engineered by Loki himself. Sure, there are diehard fans who will defend anything with a Marvel stamp on it, even Ant-Man 3, which felt like it was trying to compete with a neon sign for the title of most blinding visual assault. Black Widow and the OG Captain Marvel might have their loyal followers, but let's not pretend they're cinematic masterpieces. I vividly recall watching Endgame and thinking, is this movie a shrine to fan service? It seemed like Marvel was more interested in tossing Easter eggs than crafting a compelling story. Fast forward to the present, and we've served Doctor Strange to the Multiverse of Madness, and now The Marvels, a double feature in the copy-paste cinematic universe. The Marvels was, supposed to be this sequel to the Captain Marvel. It was just supposed to be a good sequel. I don't think many people were excited, and there's a reason for that. It really is just a very hard story to tell. It's trying to connect three different characters who have all been in different properties, from WandaVision to Miss Marvel, the TV show, to Captain Marvel, and now they're trying to tie them together, create a fun story about them taking on a bad guy, and just doing that in 96 minutes while making the movie fun and entertaining. It shouldn't be hard to do, but for this film, it's very hard, and it's just not fun to watch. It is like the unpopular kid at school that everyone collectively roots against this movie. No one's really been that excited, but Marvel's recent ventures like Loki and Spider-Man: No Way Home are akin to a fan service buffet. People have been totting those up, saying they're really good, but I do think they lack the substance of a good storyline. Remember when Marvel took risks? I mean, the first 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe was safe. They were making blockbuster movies, but those movies had souls. I think that recently, Eternals and What If, they're not without their flaws, but they were glimpses of a more bold era. They were different, and I did like those projects, of the recent Marvel projects. But now we're stuck with this, The Marvels, which is a fateful title considering it's the name of the company, and it's a film that screams cheap, louder than a Black Friday sale. I mean, it really looked hideous. Like the opening scene of this, it was just so ugly, where they're standing on this soundstage and the villain Dar-Ben, which is just a hilarious villain name, is like picking up a rock. It just looks so fake. This is a blockbuster movie. It really shouldn't look like it was obviously shot on green screen. And I went to see The Marvels on a big RPX screen. I was expecting an immersive experience. Instead, I got a plot an 8-year-old could follow. It was like a Disney Channel original movie. The story, it was so simple. The bad guys are in black and white, good guys in Technicolor, and zero zany energy. It's like Marvel forgot to infuse the script with the essence of excitement. Now, I remember when Avatar: The Way of Water came out in December, and it lingered in theaters for 3 whole months. 3 months! Dominating IMAX screens, RPX screens, every big format. And then Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, came out, a visual eyesore that bulldozed everything out of theaters. But at least Avatar felt immersive, like a journey to another world. Watching Ant-Man 3 and now The Marvels, it feels like a half-hearted attempt to capitalize on all these projects they've made, stitched together with the grace of a preschool art project. It's just lacking heart. At its core, it's like the leftover crumbs at the bottom of a cereal box. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was really good and really, I think, a great example of what Marvel can do when it's really trying. And obviously, James Gunn has gone on to work for DC, so he's clearly going to be making films that people care about. And it's interesting because Guardians 3 manages to have similar elements to the Marvels. It's funny, it's set in space, it's cosmic, but I think that movie had a really good heart. It had beautiful makeup and VFX work, and it was really grounded. Like, you actually felt the weight of that film. Like, the action in that film was more grounded. They had pretty cool stunts. I thought the choreography in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was clearly well thought out, where the Marvels just feels like many scenes that are just there to show, oh, these girls are working together. I thought some of the choreography was actually awful. Like, it felt like that Black Panther final battle where they're just floating through the sky. This was way, way worse. Could you say that the Marvels is good? Nada. There's no bad guy you understand, no emotional roller coaster, just some lukewarm character dynamics that wouldn't even pass as a Hallmark card. And in a universe filled with dazzling spectacle and heartfelt stories and 80 years of comics to take from, the Marvels is like the forgotten stepchild desperately trying to fit in. If only it had taken a page from the Guardians of the Galaxy's playbook, it might have been good, but alas, it's more like just a bad time. I think, again, people will like this film. There's always going to be people who will say it was good, you're overreacting. I just think, we've all gotten to a point where superhero fatigue has really been setting in. At the end of the day, it's just the same old story. You need to be able to tell this story in a different way. What I liked about Guardians 3 was it was able to make Rocket, who wasn't usually a main character, into the center of that film. And the film revolved around him, and they made the whole film about getting the Guardians back together, about taking down this one character, and they really reworked the film so it was different, so it wasn't just repeating the same old trope. Yes, they have to stop a bad guy. Yes, this bad guy wants to destroy a planet. In this movie, The Marvels, the bad guy wants to destroy the sun, which it's hilarious, like when you actually watch the movie. And it has two scenes in it that are very bizarre. One involves cats, one involves a planet, and everyone's been pointing this out. But I think the fact that these are just like 5-minute scenes or 3-minute scenes out of the whole movie, it's such a letdown. If the movie really leaned into that bizarre quality, I think it could have been great. But it's what it is. And yeah, it's just, it's here. You can watch it if you want. But I think everyone knows we deserve better. The movie audiences deserve better. It doesn't have to just be some dumb movie that we're seeing. So let me know what you guys think of the Marvels and if you want to see better movies.